Welcome to the CHCH Newsmakers podcast. I'm Rick Zamperin. After 35 years, Burlington's iconic Club 54 is set to close as its longtime owner is retiring after one final summer of celebration. Joining us on Newsmakers is the owner of Club 54, Gene Quondamatteo. Gene, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Rick. It's nice to be here.
35 years.
Yes.
First off, did you expect that when you first launched this 35 years ago, that 35 years later, you would be here talking about the legacy of such an iconic club?
No, I never would have believed it, but you know what? It's been a great location, and we've got I've always had a great staff and my family behind me, and all kinds of support. And as I said, the location with the parking and the right off the highway. We drew from all over southern Ontario. We drew from people from Niagara Falls out to Peterborough and Kitchener and in between, the whole Golden Horseshoe. And so yeah, we've remained popular with keeping trends and updating with promotions and things like that. And yeah, it's been a long run.
I'm sure there was a lot of people who were saddened, maybe surprised at hearing that the club was closing. You were retiring. What was the reason behind it?
Well, I was, I made a startling discovery not too long ago, and that was that I'm not getting any younger. So even though my brain is like, I could do this forever, but it's not that it's a physical job or anything. It's just that, the time has come where things have changed in society and things. It's not like it used to be. The glory days are past, but that's okay. It'll turn around sometime. But right now we're still cooking, and it's still going on the weekends and things. But it was a much more viable industry years ago, and I was fortunate to ride the wave of the nightclub business, like back to the disco, the start of the disco era in the 70s. My father had a beautiful restaurant in downtown Hamilton, Caesar's Restaurant, right on Gore Park, 30 King Street East. And he put a little disco in the basement called Big Julie's. And this was right when, the Saturday Night Fever and the Bee Gees and Donna Summer and the whole thing just exploded, and it was fantastic. And, it just went from there. I found another location down the street at 54 King Street East.
Literally down the street.
We're just down the street. Yeah. With a great number, because it was synonymous with, and I had been to the fabulous Studio 54 in New York City, just back in the late 70s, early 80s. So I named it the 54 Club after the number, and it went on and on. It's a long story, but the downtown just.
All the time
I don't have to. If you get me started on downtown Hamilton and the problems, right? It just became a disaster with the way the city ran. But anyway, that's a long story.
And this was the early 80s?
This was the mid 80s.
Mid-80s.
This was the Gore Park fiasco and all that stuff. So I was constantly looking for another spot. In the meantime, we had leased the building out to another owner, and he couldn't make it go, so we had to take it back over. I had moved to Toronto. I was part of the Sky Dome opening season, 1989, with the whole hoopla.
Roof,
yes, the retractable roof, and I was became a manager of one of the bars there, Sightlines, lounge, restaurant type of thing. And I was part of the whole thing with the Biddulph Corporation of the bars and restaurants. And it was a fantastic experience. And living in Toronto was okay, but believe me, it wasn't the great. I couldn't wait to get back to Hamilton because it was just too crazy in Toronto. But the traffic and the crowds and everything. So I ended up. We took the place over, and I said, I've got to get a place outside of Hamilton. Downtown was, anyway, it was just, we won't get into it. But
so why Burlington?
So Burlington had a number of very, very busy nightclubs. The nightclub scene in Burlington was very exciting.
Okay.
You had clubs like NRG and Pat and Mario's and Emma's Back Porch, which was previously called Sharky's or something. Anyway, these are busy places. Good Time Charlie's, I could rattle off a bunch of names, but even the ticker tape was with an older crowd there on Harvester Road just down. And this was I tell my father, who was a real estate guy, he was actually, after his football days, became president of the Hamilton Real Estate Board. And he was a good real estate man and a good eye for things. And I said, I got to get a place in Burlington. So we looked around, and we had a realtor find us a place on Harvester, and it was a Chuck E. Cheese pizza place.
Right.
And the lease was up, and it's a long story, but
did the building scream to you, nightclub? You're like, okay, this is it.
yeah, it was a great room.
Yeah.
It was big. It's 10,000 square foot, high ceiling, tons of parking. You know, and when you're in the business, you kind of look at rooms and buildings, and you say, "I did this, that, and there. This would be here. The DJ booth, the bars over here,
Yeah.
the dance floor." So you know, and it was fabulous. So we made a deal with Rudy Reimer, who was the property manager of a lot of buildings in Burlington at that time. This being one of them. And there's another long story of why he took a liking to me and open. He was having this feud with a club called Tequila Willie's behind us. I don't know if you remember this place on the South Service Road. Fabulous, just a Tex-Mex restaurant nightclub that was packed every night.
Okay.
And Rudy had the adjoining properties on either side that he managed. And the debris and the beer bottles and the cigarette butts and everything in these two parking lots on either side made him furious, because he was a very meticulous guy. Okay. Everything was like, you know, his buildings were like pristine. And so he hated this thing with his tequila, and he heard I wanted to open this nightclub right behind it, right on right behind it on Harvester Road. Oh, you want to open a nightclub? Oh, that's interesting, and this and that. And I know the wheels are turning. He's going, maybe he's going to knock this place for a loop, this tequila. And so he leased the place to us, and it was a slow beginning. This was in November of '91. Mm-hmm. And we had a little soft opening on December the 17th. I'll never forget it. And the grand opening was on New Year's Eve of that year. So it was a slow start, because it was really like a beautiful. We fixed it up, and it was like mirrors and carpeting and very nicely lit and everything else. It was a little too nice for the Burlington crowd.
Really?
I needed something a little more casual.
Ah, okay.
So I started looking around these other places, Tequila Willie's particularly. Jack Astor's was another place. They had these like Christmas lights and flashing lights, little very casual. So I brought in a bunch of Tiffany lamps from our old club and put up some tacky lighting. I'd say tacky. It wasn't tacky, but it just made it more casual.
Right.
And that turned the thing around. The people started, and so anyway, and it just got busier and busier, and it's been the greatest thing ever since. It's been very steady for as I said, almost 35 years.
Was there a moment in those early days where you said to yourself, okay, it's clicking now, it's humming?
Yeah.
Was it weeks later? Did it take a few months? Was it almost a year? When did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you what, as you know, the nightclub business is primarily a weekend thing, Friday and Saturday night. So I had to get something happening there on Thursdays and even Sunday nights. So I had a lady approach me about this singles dance she was doing at another place down on the South Service Road. She said, I'd like to bring the dance here. So she brought the dance. Long story short, the Sunday nights took off.
Okay.
Then one afternoon, I'm in the club setting up, and this tall guy walks in the door, and it's Ben Guyett, who I didn't know from a hill of beans. He goes, "Hi, I got a comedy show. I'm at CH, and we're doing it at the in Hamilton." No, he was doing it in the west end of Burlington at the time. I forget, Veranda Beach, that's what it was called. And you know what? Would you be interested in having a television show in here, like a comedy show on Thursday night? I go, yeah. Well, when can we start? Like tomorrow? Like, well, you know, he laid out the whole deal, and the deal was CHTV, and we would do it on Thursday nights, and I'd bring the audience in, and
man,
all
that was
the
such
details.
a popular show.
And it took that covered our Thursday. So now I had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday going in the club, and it was beautiful. It was really good every night, and not to mention the promotional value of having a show on CH every Sunday night, and that ran for 9 years. 9 seasons.
Pretty amazing. I mean, some pretty good comics that came out, too.
We did, yeah. Well, we had guys like Russell Peters, and you know, there was various other comics who don't come to mind right now, but they did the circuit of the American clubs, and there was somebody, Stuart Francis. I remember there was a guy. There was. Oh God, what was that? I can't rhyme them off right now. But anyways, we had some great comics, and as I said, it ran for 9 seasons, and we're still. Then we syndicated with the Comedy Network, so it went national, and then we've been running the CH has the library now, and they're running the show over the last 6-7 years on CH. Yeah, so so that. Along with the fabulous club that the Fridays and Saturdays were the main nights there, and I've had some great DJs and a great staff, and we drew from, as I said, from all over, and it was a very popular spot and still is.
What were the major tweaks that you made to the club that really resonated with people that enjoyed what was happening?
Well, again, it's always about running parties. Like, I made up this phrase, always a party. I was trying to come up with a slogan for the club.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we used to party, come to the party, it's a party. And I'm driving down Fairview Street. This was right when the club opened. I said, I got to come up with a new slogan. And I see the Tim Hortons sign, and I see, always fresh. Always fresh.
Yeah, which they used for years.
Yeah, and I said, always a party. Always a party. That's my new slogan. And so I started promoting always a party. And so again, when you're not selling, you know, when you're marketing, you're not selling the music or the drinks or the room.
Right.
You're selling the experience, and so the party became the thing. I just called party this, party that, party everything. Everything was a party. Like this Saturday, this Friday,
and you got to be here.
And all you got, this is the place. So that tweak really set it off. So it became a real party bar, and was known as the place where there was always a party, and there was. It still is.
Absolutely. How much of Studio 54 in New York did you incorporate into Club 54?
Well, the thing about Studio 54. It was a heck of an experience. Even getting into the place. It's a long story how we got into the place. A friend of mine, Peter, was working down in New Jersey, and he said, "Come on down. We'll go to New York City and tool around." And so I did. I went down one weekend and stayed till about Tuesday. But we went to. You know, we went up the, I went up the Empire State. He was working during the day. I was up the World Trade Center. I was up the Empire State Building. I was in Little Italy. I was at the Museum of Natural History. I was at Times Square. So we ended up going to, we saw a Broadway play. We saw Chorus Line, which was like the hottest
Classic,
musical at that time.
Yeah.
We ended up in the front row. That's a long story. We it was sold out, but we just went up to the ticket booth minutes before the show, and any cancellations? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I got a pair. And we ended up getting walked down to any first row. And we went to Rodney Dangerfield's, the comedy club.
Yeah.
And Rodney wasn't always there. He might play a week every couple months or something, but he happened to be there that night, and we were on the floor laughing. It was hilarious. And then the Monday, I said, we got to try and get into this Studio 54. This place is like world famous with the celebrities and the thing.
I mean, it was a madhouse back in the day.
It was crazy. It was great. It was an old television studio, as a matter of fact. The studio.
So how did you get in?
Well, we're in this big crowd, outside, and unbeknownst to me, the guy who was in a big beaver coat picking out people was Steve Rubel. He was one of the owners. He would pick the people. He said, you got to make a salad when you're inviting people into your club. It's got to be a little bit of everything.
Right.
So if you were dressed too nice or just too bland, you didn't get in. But you had to do. So anyway, we're in this crowd, and I got a business card from Caesar's Restaurant and Big Julie's Disco, and I start waving it at one of the other doormen. There's about 3 or 4, and they say, hey, buddy, I got a club in Canada. Can you get us a blah blah? So he goes, let me see here. Okay, I'll tell you what to do. See, go down the street about 2 blocks. We go, okay. He goes, there's an alleyway there on the right-hand side.
Right.
We go, okay, all right. In that alley, you'll see a guy with a big heavy coat like mine. This beaver coat. These guys were all. This is in the middle of February. Okay, you see, give him $50 or something like that. I don't know what it was back. This is 1980 or 70. It was $40 or whatever. That's like $100. Whatever. So okay, all right. He'll give you 2 tickets and come back here and show the ticket to me. So this was a doorman deal they had going. They were making some pocket money by.
In the meantime, you're thinking, I'm not going to go into this alley and give this stranger $40 or whatever.
It was reminding me years later of. Did you see the movie Goodfellas?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
so Robert De Niro is going to have Henry Hill's wife whacked.
Yeah.
So he says, go down the street here. You'll see a guy. He's going to got some dresses for you down there.
Exactly.
And she's walking down the street, and she looks back, and he's going.
Keep going.
And then she's starting to get the feeling of something fishy going on here, and she turns around and drives away, and they try and catch her. So did you have this feeling as well? So I had this feeling. I go, where the hell are we going anyway? So we went there. We give the guy the money. We got the 2 tickets. We walked back, and we flashed the tickets and opened the velvet ropes. And, come on in, this and that. So it wasn't an experience. The place was, of course, crazy, crowded, and big, and loud, and the lights, and just a fabulous. We stayed till 6 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get out of there till 6 in the morning. I mean, we went there around maybe midnight, but yeah, it was all night, and it was just wonderful.
So what did you take from that experience? Because it's all about experiences and incorporate into your club.
Well, I just was so enamored with the nightclub business. It was just such a current thing and such a popular, thriving industry at that time, the nightclub business. So I was always wanting to get a bigger and better place. And so at Big Julie's, so then I went out to a club in Cambridge back then. It was called Ballinger's. I don't know if you remember.
I remember the name.
Yeah? Okay. So this was a big old warehouse and the big video screen, and they were showing videos. This was the dawn of the music video age, MTV and all that stuff. And I go to my dad, I say, this is fantastic. We got to get this building down the street. This was an old restaurant, old bank. It was an old Bank of Nova Scotia building. But it became a restaurant called the Overdraft. Very opulent, big chandeliers, and it went out of business. It was like it couldn't survive. So my dad struck a lease with these guys, and this was the beginning of the bigger club. This was the 54 Club. And then, again, it went down because of what happened in Gore Park and all that stuff. So then I started looking at Burlington. That's how we ended up in Burlington. So I kept the name. People say, why are you calling this place Club 54? And I said, well, because I have a club in Hamilton, and I like the name, and I'm just going to keep it that. And so that's how it came. But again, Studio 54 in New York City was like the center of the nightclub business. And being there and just struck a nerve that I got to be in this business.
Now, did you have any thought to have a New York style bouncer connection in alleys, or was it
no? Believe me, that was
New York.
That was New York City, but. No, we had the ropes out front, and we had the big lineups, and but yeah, I don't think the doormen were rent. That was kind of a scam type of thing with the doormen, but no, I don't think that happened in downtown Hamilton. But
is there a favorite event or maybe an iconic moment or celebration party at your club that you remember the most?
Well, we have, of course, the New Year's Eve parties are notorious for just a fabulous party, the balloon drop and all this stuff. But I had an event there one time. I called it the. I'm a big Beatles fan from way back. I've been enamored, a big fan since I was a kid on the television, whatever. And so all these years go by, and I meet this guy. He comes to the club one time, Chris Tassone. He's a Ringo Starr impersonator.
Oh, no way.
And he looks just like Ringo. And he does the accent and all that stuff. And he got invited to Liverpool for the annual, they call it Beatle Week.
Okay.
And it's the last week of August every year, where down on Matthew Street, where the Beatles got famous at the Cavern Club. It's a big party. It's a week-long thing of tribute bands coming in from all over, from Russia, Argentina, from Japan. These guys can't even speak English, but they can sing and play the Beatles like dead on. Like there's these tribute bands, so they're all over the place. There's like 100 of them all throughout the city of Liverpool. Anyway, through Chris, got to meet Alan Williams, who was the Beatles' first manager. Len Gary, who was a member, he was the T-chess bass player, and I don't know if you remember, John Lennon's first band was the Quarrymen, so he was one of the original Quarrymen. And Pete Best, who was the original drummer.
Yeah.
These guys are just normal guys, just like the friendliest guys, no attitude, no ego, just beautiful people. And we'd drink and we'd party and we'd get together. And so I thought, I got to have these guys back to my club in Burlington. I'm going to run a Beatle Fest type of thing. So I did. This was back in '97. It was the Burlington Beatles Bash. I should have named it, Ontario or Canada's Beatle Bash, because it kind of defined it to just this small city. But anyway, it turned out to be a big success. But yeah, I had Pete Best and Alan Williams and Len Gary and George Harrison's sister, Louise Harrison.
Wow.
And a former secretary of Brian Epstein, she came along, and this was all, of course it was, you'd bring them and you'd pay them and you'd give them a per diem type of thing, and we did it. It was a day-long thing. It was just a one-day thing. But it was fabulous, and we sit down like this on the stage, and I'd interview Louise or Len or whatever, and Alan, talk about the days, and the crowd loved it. And then to top off the night was a Beatle band called the Caverners. They were from Niagara Falls. They're still performing actually to this day. And so the Beatle Bash was probably one of the big highlights of the club.
It sounds like a big party.
Yeah.
Do you have a closure date in mind? Is there a final date that is?
It's looking like, and again, this is all in the works. I've got interested parties, and I've got a pretty serious offer that I'm looking at. Nothing's complete. Nothing's firm quite yet, but I'm looking at late in the fall, maybe November, December. We might even stretch it to the big finale would be on New Year's Eve and at the end of this year, but possibly earlier. Possibly Halloween would be the last night. I'm not sure yet. It depends on the way the deal is formed. Yeah.
So will the club live on once the new deal is struck with the new owners, or do you have some sort of stipulation to say, you got to do your own thing?
I can't really say right now, but because I can't really say what I'm thinking it's going to be, but it's probably not going to be a club.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because the club business is not as lucrative as it used to be, and this is a very a nice piece of property in the middle of Burlington, and Burlington has got a good reputation, and it's a great location. And so, it could be offices, could be automotive, could be something like that. I don't know, but I can't really say right now what it's going to be. But I kind of doubt it's going to be a club.
Right.
It's still possible. There's still, somebody could come along in the next few weeks. Things are moving fast with it. So. But probably not a club. Yeah.
Why do you say that the club business is not as lucrative now as it used to be? What has gone on?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. This thing here.
Right.
And
so how did that change?
Of course, you know that how the kids are. So anyway, when COVID hit. I was going to retire at 30. I was looking for a nice round number, 30. I thought 30 years. That was in 2021. It was smack dab in the middle of COVID. Yeah. So, lockdowns and this and that. I said, I can't have a farewell party at this conditions. All that stuff. We might, and we were in 3 lockdowns. Like, we could not open. Then it got to be, you can open until 10, or you could have 20% occupancy. Yeah. It was crazy. When I think about it now, it's just, anyway, 6 feet difference, and nobody can dance. Like as if dancing is going to spread COVID more than standing. Anyway, so I figured I would close, but the COVID changed a lot of things in society. And what I think it really did was it took a chunk of the population, the kids turning 19 and 20 and 21, 2 years they were taught to live by staying at home. Yeah. You had Uber Eats, you skipped the dishes, you had DoorDash, and then all of a sudden, like 90 streaming networks came on. Like, what the hell? How many streaming and how many movies and TV series? And so everybody's got a big, 50-inch LCD.
You don't have to go anywhere to get
You don't have to, and then there's other things, the cannabis shops and all that stuff. But, I mean, it kind of took a toll on nightlife in general. The restaurants, very much so, but some restaurants are able, because they still can thrive on the takeout, the DoorDash and the Uber Eats and all that stuff. But a nightclub, you have to be in a nightclub. You have to be there. And so I think it changed society a lot. So what happened was the kids, the young crowd, like unless you're in a university town, like my kids have gone to Western in London, and they got all those packed bars where but I mean $2, $3 drinks and this type, and so the university towns can have the young crowd going out. But in the middle cities throughout, a lot of clubs have closed. Even in Toronto, there's very few surviving big clubs. Yeah. And the trend today is towards these smaller restaurant-tainment, whatever, like resto bars, and where it's a restaurant, and then at late night they'll bring a DJ in there, and it's maybe 100 people, 120 people size. So the smaller pubs and venues like that are what's hip right now. So that would be the most had the most effect on the business, I think, was COVID. Yeah.
What's next for you? You're retiring, you're selling, and what do you got planned? I'm
gonna relax for a little while, but
you deserve it.
Yeah. I've been in the business. This is not just 35 years. It's 50 years since the mid '70s, when I was in the nightclub, the nightclub business. So 50 years of this is kind of crazy, but. By the way, I have a Facebook page called The History of Club 54 Nightclub, and it's filled with pictures and photos and stories from the beginning on King Street East in Hamilton all the way to the opening of Club 54. But so I kind of did that during COVID. And people say, why don't you write a book? So I did kind of write a book, but it's online book on Facebook. But what's next now? just probably something online. I'd like to do a business online somehow where I don't have to be running a club like I never say never. But I'm in my early 70s now, and I don't think I'm going to get back into it. But yeah, there's lots to do. There's lots to do with the kids, and my son's getting married this year, and I've got 2 daughters that are in their 20s, so those will be coming up. Hopefully, some grandkids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of family stuff and traveling. I have family in Italy, and my daughter lives in London, England right now, my oldest daughter. So we're a lot back. I mean, my wife is from Sweden, so we have my big family in Sweden. And so we spend a lot of time there. So probably be spending a little more time that way. Yeah. You
have an incredible legacy. You've done some amazing work in Burlington and Hamilton, and the evidence showed just in our conversation today. Keep us posted on when that final party is going to be happening. We're definitely going to be there. Thanks for your time today, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Rick.
All right, and that is a wrap for the CHCH Newsmakers podcast. A big thanks to the All-Star cast behind the scenes. If you like today's episode, click the thumbs up, hit subscribe. You can leave a comment as well. Catch the Newsmakers podcast on chch.com/podcasts and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.